It's my pleasure to do the first show for the Contractors Innovation Podcast. And we hope to bring in many, many interesting guests. And it'll vary from owners to experienced foremen to people who maybe I worked with before or that can add some value, because what we want to do is we want to share innovation practices of contractors so that our listeners would always learn something. And we also want to have some fun. So it's going to be the Contractors Innovation Podcast with a laugh and learn element. So my first guest today is somebody I worked with in the past, Brian Couto. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hey, very good, Marty. How you doing? A long time no see.
I like the outfit.
Not bad. Oh, I'm always representing.
Yeah. So this guy is apparently, and I don't stay out late anymore, but he's apparently a stand-up comedian, and we'll touch more about the contractor innovation stuff.
Yes.
You've been around a while, like 25 years.
Yeah, well, legally 25 years. Like, I've been in the union since 1999. So that's where I say, this is where I became a professional, right? But remember, I'm Portuguese background. So I've been doing concrete since I was 12 years old. It wasn't uncommon for a Saturday morning to go to Portuguese school, a.k.a. pour concrete on a Saturday morning at your neighbor's house. So, yeah.
When you do your stand-up, do you talk about that 12-year-old?
Yeah, I talk about, I talk about growing up. I talk about being Portuguese, also construction stuff, because changing over from construction to comedy, I still do construction, but in the wintertime, I focus more on comedy because we get laid off for what I do now. So I like the 2-3 months off. Some guys like to work all the time. I like a little time off. Gives me a chance to recoup my body. I work really hard. I'm a very physical worker. I could also lead, but I could also show, and I could demonstrate, and I can actually get the job done. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, you've got leadership skills for sure, Brad, if I can remember rightly.
Yeah, you hired me as a foreman when I was young, and I was in my early 20s, and I had my own crew. I brought my own men.
I always believe in growing people.
Yeah.
And I always believe that people will shine when you ask them to shine.
Yeah, if you give them a little light, you know what I mean?
Them a bit.
Yeah, it was good.
Tell me what effect your parents had in your development years.
So my parents were Portuguese background. My mom was born here, so she was a little more new age. So she had worked at CIBC downtown, the head office in Toronto, and she used to type on a typewriter. This was back late 70s, early 80s, and she would do like 60 words or 70 words a minute on a typewriter. And one day I remember she told me a story. The manager came in, and he heard and he's like, "What is that?" And just like, "Oh, it's Maria in the back on the typewriter." And they're like, "What the heck?" And then, speaking of innovation, they brought her this new machine. They go, "Here, try this," and it was an electric typewriter. And all of a sudden she got up to like 90 words a minute, and they're like, "Oh wow!" So after she had my brother, she stayed home. But
so how did she meet your dad?
So. Funny story. So both of my parents have family in Bermuda. My dad was actually living in Bermuda because a lot of Portuguese migrated to Bermuda back in the day. So my mom had gone there on her summer vacation. She had just graduated high school, and she was going there for a wedding because her cousin was getting married. And my dad and they had met on the beach. Now my dad and my uncle, so his brother, they were walking into the beach and they're checking out girls. Because they're, 18 years old and they're checking out girls. And then my uncle goes to my dad and goes, hey, look at that one over there. And then my dad looks over, sees my mom and goes, whoa, you see that girl right there? That's going to be my wife.
No kidding.
True fucking story. Sorry. True story. We'll edit that out. True story.
Oh, we can swear.
It's exciting. It's an exciting.
It's construction.
Yeah,
we're gonna get the odd swear word in there.
So and then he went and they started talking on the beach, and then they actually went to a wedding. And the funny story is my dad was dressed up at the wedding, but he didn't have shoes on. He was barefoot because that was his style back then. Like, they would be barefoot all the time. So he was at the wedding barefoot. And the joke is that my mom was so in love with him that she didn't even look at his feet the whole time. You know what I mean? So she didn't
right away, she was in love with him.
She was in love with him. And he was telling me this story when I was a little kid. He's like,
Did they do it the first night?
No,
You don't know about that, eh?
no, they didn't tell me that part.
No,
but
ask him that.
with the shoe thing, my mom didn't even know about this, and I remember him telling me this story when I was a kid. He's like, I wasn't even wearing shoes, and your mom didn't notice. And she's like, what? You weren't wearing shoes? So she didn't even know this for years. So it was a funny story. You know what I mean? I'm glad.
Yeah.
But back to we just weaved back
You should probably talk on your stand-up about that.
about that stuff.
Roll that in.
Yeah.
Hey,
So their effect on my life was your question, right?
yeah.
So because they're Portuguese background, they're always like, you got to go to work, you got to save your money. So even though at a young age I had an interest in acting and all that stuff, and my parents did put me in acting classes and stuff, but then because it didn't happen right away, they lost their, acting and comedy. It doesn't happen in a year or 2 or 3. Sometimes it takes 10 years before people even notice you. Right. So my parents didn't understand that in the beginning, and they felt discouraged that they put this investment, but nothing, like I wasn't a movie star at 16. You know what I mean? So for that reason.
Now you're a movie star.
Yeah. soon.
Podcast champion.
Yeah. So, but that was the
way,
whole
Brian's
thing.
going to do some co-hosting on the show because of the
Yeah.
ability to bring the humor, but we're going to have all kinds of different formats.
He'll be the learn part. I'll be the laugh part. So don't worry. It's gonna be exciting, guys.
Yeah,
And this is our maiden voyage, right? So
yeah, this is the first episode.
yeah.
So we're actually going to have a second episode today, and we're going to have Brian's wife.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna
She's
edit
a
that out.
painter.
Hold on a second.
We can't have that yet?
No, we can't talk about saying that we're together only because her sponsors and stuff. Only because of the weed thing or because of the comedy.
Okay,
thing.
that's fine.
Yeah.
We can
So
edit
we'll
that
just
out.
we'll edit that part out. So that's the whole thing. Even when she gets interviewed, we can interview her, but I don't want to say that we're together.
I'd like to also introduce Dante, our producer.
Hello, I'm
So
here.
Sometimes if you think that we're going off track,
Yep.
just cut it.
Yeah. Give us the light.
I'll do one of these and say reel it back in.
Yeah. Reel it back.
I had a podcast previously. It was called Value Engineering Experts,
Okay.
and I did 23 episodes with a guy out of LA. It was pretty polished. We were voted high for the built environment thing. Like my heart is towards earth honoring systems. So, and I have, I think, 14 patents. But that's not about me. It's more about trying to do something that can save contractors money through innovation.
Correct. Because
And I started ACM, so that was a pretty innovative group.
oh yeah, like that was. Now I worked for you. It's going back almost 20 years. But when I walked into your shop and I seen all the tools, because one of my first tasks, you might not remember this, but one of my first tasks, you're like, hey Brian, I want you to organize this whole room. And it was all the tools and stuff that people would bring back and to do inventory and stuff. And I think that was like a test to see if I can organize and stuff. And I had it all cleaned up and stuff, so obviously it worked. So yeah, but yeah, you had the tools, and that's the one thing in construction as workers. If our companies don't have the proper tools, it makes life so hard. And there's a lot of companies out there that, they just have some old tools and they don't care. If you break it, you bring your own or use your hands. You know what I mean? Like,
There's something that I was pretty proud of is I made my own augers, and it saved a lot of money for us when I did that. I built a 750-ton press, which was too big, the biggest cylinders you can get off a scraper for cat.
well, you had a whole extra shop back there where guys were making stuff all the time.
Yeah,
And-
welders. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not about me, but the idea would be tools can, if you get the right tools, then the person who designed that tool,
Yeah.
it'll affect your production. Now tell me a bit about Cox.
So I've been working for Cox now. It's going to be my second season this year. And where I work, we mostly do roads. So they'll grind the roads and redo them, lift the sewers, adjust them. They don't do much concrete, but last year, at the end of the year, we were kind of forced to do concrete. And so they looked at me and said, hey, Brian, you know how to do concrete? And I'm like, obviously, okay, let's go. So it was good because they gave me the chance to kind of to help the guys. There was 2 foremans there, and they had their own crews. There was 2 crews we put together to make this concrete crew to get it going. But I got to lead them with innovative ways. And speaking of innovation, they have clamps, steel clamps that adjust and stuff. And so those steel clamps, when you make forms, they're so much faster than having to work other ways. But
So
a lot
that's
of
for curbs.
yeah. So when we make the curbs, there's these adjustable steel clamps that hold the faceboards together, so that you don't have to drive stakes in the ground and all that stuff. So I showed them how to do it, like how to set it up in like 3 seconds, and you can. And this is how you strip it. Boom, one shot, and it all strips. So it's
So they had the forms, or you?
So they had the forms,
But
and
they didn't know how
but
to
they
use
didn't know how to use any of it. Yeah. So none of
They
these
just
guys.
bought them.
Well, no, they've had it for years because they used to have a concrete crew.
Oh, okay.
But since it's hard to make money on concrete if it's pieces of concrete. You make the big concrete companies that make money on walls and all that. It's because of the volume of concrete that they're pouring.
Full loads.
Yeah, and you're making money versus you're getting 5 meters of concrete. You need 5 or 7 guys on the crew, and that 5 meters of concrete lasts like an hour or 2 of pieces and pieces, and you know what I mean? So you don't make a lot of money on that, but you make money on the putting the asphalt down. So sometimes you have to take that contract to get the other contract. Do you know what I mean?
You know, I'm gonna talk about my latest patent.
Yeah.
So I got something where I do a gravel pile,
Okay.
and I put a Z MST bar in it, and I can resist uplift loads. I tie it into a MST. We're going 15M on this one house job. You should come and work on it. We'll squeeze you in.
Yeah.
You'll definitely be able to come because it could be like partly on a Saturday or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even if
And-
you're at Cox. So then the slab is 8 inches thick, and I put it on clear gravel with some SM board, but the concrete I don't saw cut it, so it'll be 2,000 square feet without saw cuts.
And it doesn't crack?
No, I've got zero crack technology now.
Wow.
So basically, but by creating a system, I can get a patent for it. So the idea is to, if you never work with MST rebar?
Is that the green stuff? The
Green stuff.
Yeah.
That guy's doing really well. Borny is a really bright guy.
Yeah.
He's a composite engineer from, I think, Waterloo. And he got backing by some really rich developers.
Yeah.
So he's doing $300 million a year from Scarborough. And I got to put so then what I want to do is I want to put chem concrete
Yeah.
with
That.
and that system
Yeah.
doesn't need to be saw cut because the glass is 4 times stiffer. So it'll never, the problem with recent concrete cracks
It's 'cause it's
of
porous.
because of rebar.
Because
The
of the
rebar
rebar.
expands and contracts with temperature, but the green bar doesn't.
Oh, I understand.
And
I
so
got
the,
you.
The MTO's flat spec'd on bridges now with MST.
Is all green, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and
I
so
worked
then-
on one
yeah.
a few years ago with Capital, and we had to break it all up, and we're only allowed to put the green bar. And I say the green bar, it's a steel bar that's coated.
Well, it's actually glass. No,
It's glass underneath?
Okay, so
Oh, you're
so
talking
it's not
the lighter one.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, what they do is they take glass fiber.
Yes.
Borneo drops it in a hopper, and he can extrude it. He's got to bend it hot because you can't bend it cold like the way the rebar is. But then that bar is 4 times stiffer. It never rusts. So when I put it in my new slab patent,
Okay.
I can go against the earth with a Z,
Yeah.
and I can pack clear gravel on the holes.
Yeah.
We'll get you on that.
Oh, yeah, that's
You're a
cool.
Good packer.
Yeah.
Then it goes up to the slab.
Oh, yeah.
The slab will be 8 inches thick, and I switched this guy. I figure this guy will save easy, maybe 40 grand.
Wow.
Over a big floating slab,
Correct.
deepened edges and stuff. A lot of people are doing houses on slabs, so that slab will never crack.
Now, is it more expensive or like that? Now it's glass, not
Actually-
steel.
Actually, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's
Okay.
actually cheaper.
It's cheaper. It's probably lighter.
It's lighter.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's 1/4 the weight.
Yeah.
So you can toss that around. You can
Yeah.
lift like a bundle of bars because it's lighter, but it's stiffer. The main thing is it's stiffer.
Yeah.
It's completely resistant to salt.
So that coating that's over, it's like an epoxy coating.
No, it's not a coating.
It's not a coating.
It's a glass bar. It's green glass bar.
And what keeps it strong that you don't shatter it when it hits the ground?
It's not that. It's not
It's
brittle.
not.
It's not
Okay.
brittle.
Okay.
Like you couldn't. We'll have to show you. On,
Yeah.
Their website's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like he's doing.
Because this
I
is
think
new.
he's
Like
doing-
I've.
I think he's doing 400 million in North America.
That's crazy. Like I've been around construction forever, but there's stuff that pops up every day. I didn't even realize that that's glass on the inside. I thought he was talking about the green bar. Like if that's a coated.
Well,
right. That's steel that's coated.
which
correct?
is that gets holidays like you can get nick the green coat
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's gone to glass bar, and really that's what we have to do for sustainability.
Yeah.
What Chem Concrete is a world patent, and I met those guys and I chased it down. In the end, I didn't get Canada, but the guy in Canada, his name's Boris, and he's a really good guy. He sells precast rainbow concrete from Sudbury. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do is give him that order. I'm going to have the first order for Chem Concrete, I think. And so it's like a yogurt,
Okay.
and you can put it in with the concrete, let's say 3 gallons a cubic meter. So the leading technology in Canada is up till now was Zypex or Crichton. It'll reduce permeability by 33%. Because what we don't want is we don't want the water getting into the concrete.
Correct. Because concrete is porous.
So this is
Yeah.
95%.
Wow.
It's like a 5 hybrid.
So what would you use this kind of concrete for? Like, would you use it on your driveway if you wanted it?
Yeah, like if you were to do a driveway, you wouldn't have to cut it.
Wow. Wow.
You
So you could
obviously-
make a stamp and make it look like natural rock without the cuts in it. Like you could stamp it, make it look natural rock, and then people say, "What is this, marble? Like what is this? Is this a slab?" It would look like.
The hard thing is,
Wow, that's cool.
I've already had experience with people that want to cut everything. Like,
Yeah.
there's a contractor that we've worked with, and he's like, "Well, concrete's going to crack, or it's about to crack, or it's going to crack."
Yeah.
Well, that paradigm is changing.
Yes, because that's the
I
whole
ha-
thing.
I have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that's great. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you've done. Like, just for our viewers, there's a lot of things that he's done that have become practice.
The standard.
Yeah, it has
well,
become
I'm
the-
proud of that.
Yeah.
You know, even though ACM kicked my ass out of there, but that was more related to the divorces.
He's also got famous divorces. If you guys want to check it out, Halliwell
well,
versus
you know,
Halliwell.
How do you become famous? Those stories aren't over yet.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to have like behind the scenes stuff, right? You know, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, well, we'll have follow up. You know, so tell us about. I have
Yeah.
to get into this a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Tell us about your stand-up comedian gig last weekend.
Okay, so last week, with my first time, I was at Levity Theater in Hamilton. And so they offer a comedian workshop, like to write, because my type of comedy is telling stories. Because I've always been a funny guy in the room. I'll get the whole room will be there and I'll be telling stories. But to actually write a joke and then say it, for me, like I do comedy for me. Like I'm enjoying it, I'm having fun. If I have to say the same thing over 100 times, to me, it becomes monotonous. Like some comedians are fine with saying the same thing 10 times because they're going, or for 10 years, they say the same act, and they're fine with that because they're going from this place to that place. No one's ever seen it, right? But for me, I don't feel authentic, so it's hard for me to write. So I took this workshop. Actually, a friend of mine told me to go there. So I took it with him. I actually met a couple of people that I knew that in the workshop as well. So the purpose of the class was to write 5 minutes of new material, introduction to yourself kind of thing. And it was really good. It was a packed room. I was 10th. There was like 2 more comics after me. So at the end of the show, people are starting to lose their energy, right? So then I got to get up there and I got to get that energy back. And I did that, and I brought the energy back. I was so loose, you know what I mean? I think for comedy, even though it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and I've done construction for years, it mentally, physically, emotionally, it's very draining because I'm trying to tell my jokes. I'm making a room of strangers that don't know me, that don't even, like I might get up there and be like, everybody, if I'm too loud, all of a sudden they're scared or whatever. Like it's so hard to get the whole room.
Challenging.
Yeah, it's very challenging. Yeah.
Not
So
hard.
it's not hard. It's not like I'm not, but it's challenging to get the reactions that I want and stuff. So after the show, because I talk about my name and how it sounds different in English and in Portuguese, so that I could just say, and remember guys, my name is pronounced Brian Couto, and then everybody in the audience said it back to me at the same time. So it was the connection, and I was like, yes, and so I was really proud of that.
It's like a drug almost.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's like a different.
Get addicted to pleasing people, hearing them laugh.
Yeah, it's that. It's like an adrenaline.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good, and for me, like, I worked construction for 25 years, and there's everything in construction, especially at the level of getting the work done. There's alcohol, there's drug addictions, there's gambling, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of problems that you see, and with comedy, it's something that keeps me going. You know what I mean? I can't be drunk and be good on stage, so I can't go out and drink because tomorrow I'm doing a show, and you know what I mean. So it's kind of helps saving me too. Like, it's helping me stay on the right path because of my love for the sport of comedy. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of keeps me straight. It keeps me even as well. So, I have to thank it for that too. It keeps me going. My brain is fresh. When I'm at work, I'm going through my stuff. Like, if I'm doing something like packing gravel or whatever, I'm there packing, but I'm going off, and people are thinking I'm talking to myself. Think I'm crazy, right? And no, I'm just going over an act. So I kind of like the two. Plus, a lot of my comedy comes from the stuff that we do during the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's, buddy,
Just tell the truth.
Yeah, that's all I got to do is just tell them about my day. It's so funny. The people that I work with, everybody. So yeah, I really like the way that's going. Plus, in the next 10 years, I want to start retiring from concrete, and maybe by that time in 10 years, my career in comedy is where I want it to be. And it's not just stand-up comedy. I like the podcasts. I like doing sitcoms. I like the sketch show stuff. Like, these are all little projects that I'm working on in the background too. And I'm just excited for everything, and I hope everything goes well. And you guys are going to see a lot more of the funny side and the entertainment side. And then a little bit less doing, concrete. I'll point. I'll help guys.
Well, we're going to have some pretty serious dudes on this podcast.
Yeah.
So, and we need to bring my vision is that we would be able to add value, and somebody listening to it, who's that type of contractor, would pick up and say, geez, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And maybe in the end, it's a lower footprint.
Well, like, I already learned about the glass rebar.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think every time we sit down, I'm going to learn something. And if I'm learning something, other guys in the trades and stuff are going to learn stuff. I'll
send you the drawing.
Yeah.
It's going to be complete pretty soon. And but I'm really happy that I was able to get Boris an order. I talked to him this morning. Yeah. And he's quite good. And the guy who runs the U.S. for Chem Concrete is Jim Kaler. And I actually promoted him. I told him. Yeah. He forgets, but I said, Jim, you should get involved in this. Yeah. Now he runs the U.S.
See?
So he's going to drop all his other products and reduce them anyway.
Yeah.
And but all that being said, you have to get spec'd. Yeah. Like, you have to have an engineer want it. Yeah. It's even better if you can do it with value, like no saw cutting, or I think that we have a system now that can last 200 years.
Well, and that's the thing.
So
that's crazy.
So when
cracks.
When you pour this on your driveway, it beads water. You can't get water to penetrate it. It's 95% impermeable.
So would you still have to seal it?
No.
Wow. And that's like miracle concrete.
Well,
and so you designed.
I didn't design the world patent. That's designed by some pretty smart dudes out of Western Sydney University in Australia. Those guys are like really good engineers. They're Iranian.
Okay.
You know how the Iranians are gonna. They're dealing with Trump right now.
Yeah, the Iranians. Yeah. They were in Back to the Future too, weren't they? Wasn't it the Iranians with the plutonium in Back to the Future? Wasn't it?
Well, they got hypersonic missiles that can basically.
I seen a video of that. That's crazy. It's like they're so fast. I was like, what is this? Yeah.
It's a new world.
It's a crazy world. Yeah.
I hope there's no World War III.
I
mean, it'd be hard on the economy.
Well, it's just, it's whatever the freaking plan is. I don't know what it is, but because they don't talk to me, because I'd tell everybody, I'd rat everybody out if I knew the truth. So I just hope, everything's okay. It's been a while. We haven't seen anything on this side of the world, but let's just hope it stays that way. Fingers crossed. But yeah, and innovating stuff, not only the products, but also the people doing the job. For example, if you drive down the 403, you'll see the overhead signs. And myself, I wasn't the foreman on it, but I was like the lead hand on the site. I was a little bit older than my foreman. He was a little younger. And there was some things that had happened that nobody really knew how to deal with it. But because of my experience in other trades, I was able to, hey, guys, this is just like this, boom, boom. And they're like, oh. So then we started implementing certain things. We actually, it was for Couto Paving, right? Couto Paving at the time had 3,000 employees. They were like worldwide, pretty much. They're all over the place. And
they're out of Windsor, right?
Yeah, they were out of Windsor. And we did this job, the overhead signs, and we made the most profit, like the percentage. We made the highest percentage of profit of any other job that year in all of Couto, just because of a few tricks. My name's not written down anywhere. I don't have a Bentley. I don't have, none of that stuff. But the stuff that we did as a team, we were able to do that. And you're talking about 3,000 other people that didn't make that kind of money that we made, and it was just purely on the process of how we did things.
I'll interject and say that guys like you or the salt of the earth, in the standpoint of the laborer, was always my go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd go on the site, past the drill rig guy, and then I'd talk to the laborer.
Yeah.
And that back at Deep Foundations, because I used to be a field guy there in the 80s. I'd ask Emilio or Enrico, the Italian or the Portuguese guy.
The whop or the chop.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And he said, I remember Enrico would say, porcadillo. Right?
Porcadillo. I can't say that here on this.
So then basically, he would say, why don't you do this?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So then I would call the foreman.
Yeah.
Why don't you do this?
Yes.
And they'd listen to me.
Correct. They'd listen to you. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Saying that I was that guy who would always, yo guys, why are we doing this the hard way? Why don't we do this? And usually foremans would like fucking hate my guts because they're like, yo, what are you trying to do? Trying to make me look dumb?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And like, no, I'm just trying not to break my back.
Well, it's ego, eh?
Oh.
You know what Wayne Dyer used to call ego? Edge got out.
Edge got out?
Yeah, we really, if you get inspired, you let God work through you.
Yes.
Like I believe in God. Do you believe in God?
I believe in something more than us, for sure, 100%. This isn't just come from a monkey eating a banana or something, or eating mushrooms. It didn't happen that, you know what I mean? Like I think there's for sure, and plus even the way that I feel inside and the things that happen in front of my eyes. Yeah, 100%.
When you're good to people,
good things happen. Yeah, 100%.
Right. Do you think where are we at for time? Pretty good.
We're at 28 minutes. How do you feel?
Okay, we can keep going then.
Yeah, we're good.
So, Brian, we'll talk a little bit more about Cox.
Yeah.
Because you could speak on behalf of Cox.
Yeah.
What do you think you could bring to them this year? Do you think, knowing you're sleeping on it all winter?
Yeah, I've been sleeping all over. See, Cox, there's not like I think for me. Okay, and this is this is for everybody's gonna watch. Everyone has their opinions, and maybe you don't have to take what I say. But Cox is a very well established company. When I walked in, I felt something different right away. The people there, of course, there's always cliques. Everybody has cliques, people you like more and stuff. But on a whole, what I've seen is everyone's like a team. And everyone's...
A lot of 10, 20, 30-year guys.
Yeah, a lot of guys. Yeah, that's the thing, too. A lot of guys that have been there for 20 years, 30 years, 10, 15 years. And when I walk into a company that has guys with 3 or 4 months more experience than me in that company, I'm like, ooh, this is no good. You know what I mean? Why don't these guys are a 20-year-old company. The longest guy they have one guy who's been here for 15 years, and the rest are like 1-2 years. It's scary. But when I walked into Cox, I had guys that have been there for 10, 20 years, older guys that were working there. Now their kids work there. Do you know what I mean? So you have second generations working there. You have groups that sometimes are in different, but when they get together, everyone kind of works together. You don't have fights. You don't have yelling and screaming on the sites. None of that crap. Obviously there's going to be a little bit of there's guys working together. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of trying to do little, just messing around because they're guys, but there's none of this like, oh, you're trying to steal my job or nothing. So I actually told my my union steward who hired me, I told him, I said, listen, I'm Portuguese and I'm here, and I don't see there's any other Portuguese guys here at Cox, so let's just keep it that way. Don't hire any more Portuguese guys here. This is beautiful. I walked in and the Portuguese mentality is like, get in there, work, hard, like go crazy. Where I'm going to say the Caucasians were like, let's think about this, and if a machine can do it, let the machine do it. Don't break your back, right? So where I work at Cox, we have lots of machines, and the machine does the brunt of the work, and all we have to do is just finesse behind the machine. So it's a job that I can do for the next 10, 15 years, not like concrete where you're always pushing, and then with concrete, if a guy doesn't show up, which is very normal because you have young guys pushing wheelbarrows or whatever, doing the grunt work, everything comes on me, like everything gets on me. Where if there's a less guy on the asphalt, it's not that it's easy, but at least the machine will do the most of the brunt, and then maybe someone can jump off the side and help out for a second, then jump back on the machine. It's just a different setup, and it's a lot lighter. Concrete's so heavy.
Let me ask you, are you in 183?
Yeah, 183 now. Yeah.
So
I've been since
I
the
hear there's a lot of 183 people that are the hall's half empty. Not half empty,
half full. You mean like there's a lot of people on the list?
That's right.
Well, two things. One, it's the season, so wintertime. There's lots of guys at home, which is normal. But also, a lot of the buildings that were being built are done, and a lot of buildings out there are kind of empty, so they're not really selling. So plus,
you mean the condos? Right?
The condos, yeah. So instead of building all these 100 floor condos and 80 and 50 like huge condos, that's where everyone was working, because we have 75,000 members, over 75,000 members in just the 183. So that's a lot of guys.
And there's 506 that have almost 50.
What is the 183?
Oh, it's called
it's our union.
It's just they just refer to it as a local. Like it's basically it's province wide, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's actually North America wide. So Liuna is the name of the union, and so they're all over North America. And so my section is 183, which is Toronto, right? So basically from Cambridge to Toronto is all 183. So when we refer to 183, that's the local that I'm at. If I was in Kitchener,
they set the wage.
Yeah, and they set the wages.
The benefits.
Yeah, different benefits. So it's our union. It's the union.
Probably a guy costs, I'm going to say, would it be $70 an hour? No,
well,
with all the package.
Well, yeah. What it costs 75. I think it's about $75 an hour that we're getting, pretty much. But we're making $40-$50 an hour cash by the hour, depending.
So
on your region.
Apparently, there's 25, 30 projects in Toronto with approval. They're not going ahead. So my patents, ask about my patents.
Yeah.
My patents are designed to manage water better.
And is that one of the problems with these jobs? Is that,
that basically what they did in Toronto is they were looking at Ashbridges Bay, and they were saying, "Oh, geez, we got to stop expanding Ashbridges Bay," and everybody in Canada followed them.
Yeah.
Like all the other cities, Toronto must know what they're doing, right? So they studied Toronto. So then what they said was, well, instead of doing what we did in the 80s, they basically, because I remember what we did, right?
Yeah.
But they basically do 2 meters of concrete pad in the bottom. The whole site can be 1-2 acres of 2 meters of concrete. The code says you have to put 2,400 kilograms of rebar per cubic meter of concrete.
And that's just the base, like before you even start building.
Yeah, so then that becomes 2 meters deep, 2 meters of dirt that didn't get cost of that. Yeah. And then the walls are built like tanks. So they're tanking it because they say that we can't let any stormwater on site.
Correct.
So my system is water management.
Yeah.
Like on a 100,000 square feet, I could save a developer $10 million.
10 million on 100.
And I'd only charge $3 a square foot for that patent.
Yes.
But the other patent that I have, which
Because
is
they don't have to dig all that stuff and spend all that concrete. Yeah.
probably my best patent is FE BTU cell. So I came up with a drilled shaft geothermal. And what it does is it basically, I can do 5 a day.
Yeah.
I don't use glycol.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing patent because I put a circular ring of clear stone around the liners, series of liners. Then I overflow water, about 2.2 gallons per ton of cooling. And I can create it. When I turned my test site on, the duct froze.
Because it's making that much. So when you're talking about thermal.
Geothermal.
Yeah. So that's when you drill into the ground and you're using.
In Toronto, you know what they do? This is really, it might even say more than what I think. Yeah. So what they do is because they're doing a 2-meter pad, they say, well, we got to go to the parking lot beforehand and drill the geothermal. So they got to go down the 50 feet to the cut. Mm-hmm. Then they go down 300 feet. And they do 1 a day with glycol, which to me often leaks. They mud drill it. Mm-hmm. So they mud drill with a well drill all the way down. Mm-hmm. And when I wait till the end of the project, and I go down there and I do 5 geothermals a day with a caisson rig. The way we used to drive the caisson rig down the ramp. Mm-hmm. Like, what's different? The soil didn't change. Toronto used to have a mile of ice on it. It's glacial till. So there's clay and then rock. Mm-hmm. And the clay and the rock drill open. But if you go down there with excavators and dig 2 meters of rock, you don't even have water down there. But they're saying, well, you see what I mean? So my system's a water management patent. Okay. And if I throw the geothermal in there, it'll never leak. And I can give so I'm going to take the standard bathtub waterproofing, which is spray against like a secant wall.
Yeah.
It's 7 years. I'm going to double that. I'm going to go 15 years. To give but it'll restart all those permits.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying there's guys in the union hall because all these jobs stopped.
That's right.
And so that's why we have 25,000 people sitting there, or whatever, out of the 75 or whatever the number is. But it's for that reason. It's because they're like, hey, we don't have work. Like all the buildings finished, and then they can't start the new ones.
So the other thing I do with I got 2 patents on the one system. So when I do the geothermal, then I put a windmill on the top. So FE Geo Wind is basically.
You know what geothermal is, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's basically a 10 kilowatt windmill.
Yeah.
I call it the ideal off-grid device. I get a lot of views on LinkedIn with the stuff I'm doing.
Yeah. And you're combining a few things, and they actually help each other when you're using.
Well, I'm the only windmill that's supported by geothermal.
Yeah.
My geothermal is structural, and has HSS tubes. So I just plop a windmill on there with a bolted flange.
So the windmill.
One's ever done that.
How is it power? How is the windmill getting power? Is there wind coming from the?
No. Well, you could actually. We have illustrations where you could put it on the penthouse on the second. Like it's windy, like Ontario. So you could do a concrete pit and do the thing, or most of the time my geothermal is meant to go in soil, because a caisson drill can drill 5, let's say, 50-foot holes, 40-foot holes. You want to make the liners manageable, right? You can buy them usually at 25 feet long. So then I got a new version that's heavy duty, so I can just drop it in and put the stone around it.
Yeah.
So I keep improving them.
So
basically, you could do more per day.
Yeah.
But you got to get rid of the raft slab. Mm-hmm. But then you don't need it.
This is where we need to have little pictures underneath all this. So.
I think so, Dante, and we could definitely integrate pictures, PDFs. Yeah. Actually.
Floor plans.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited that we got Dante on this project. Yeah. I've been seeing him for a little while doing some really cool podcasts. I'm really glad because we both wanted to do stuff. You've been wanting to do this too, but to do it right?
Yeah, we won't get everything right the first episode.
No, right? I think we're doing okay.
Yeah,
I think we're doing good.
Make some noise if you guys are having fun. Yeah.
Wait, what's your best joke when you're stand up?
Oh, my goodness.
What worked good Friday night? You went Friday night, right?
Yeah, I went for. Oh, okay. So here's
How many
one.
people?
Here's one. It was a full room, and I think that room takes 100 people.
Yeah,
So,
like 100 to 200.
Yeah,
in
right.
that range.
And it was pretty full. There was a couple spots that was empty, like they didn't have, but it was like 90% full. And I told them, I said, okay, so now that you guys know that I work concrete, I guess the cat is out of the bag, because I know most of you, when I first walked on this stage, you were wondering, is he 7-Eleven or is he 9-11? I can't really figure out what kind he is. And don't worry, don't be. It's not racist if you thought that, because I get confused. I get mistaken by them all the time. They think that I'm them all the time, and by them I don't mean pink hair and blue hair. I mean the Indian people. They think I'm one of them. And so then people started laughing and stuff. And then I was like, and as soon as they see me, they're all happy. And they're like, and I don't know what they're saying. Like, I don't speak their languages. I don't know. So I just do what every polite Canadian would say. Is just in their accent, say, give me a good deal. Give me a good deal. You know what I mean? So just having fun that kind of way, right? Yeah. It's a lot of making fun of myself and how I view things a little different than maybe what reality is or whatever, but it's just fun, right? So
well, good luck with the career as a comedian.
Yeah.
I don't know about podcasts, but I don't think that, and by the way, we're probably going to do advertisers. What do you think, Dante? Like, we would probably go ahead and comment. Like, I think have a couple of paid advertisers to help give traction to the show. And I think there's a lot of contractors that may want to. I think with some integrity, we would basically have the innovative ones.
And if anyone's interested, we're basically offering a few different positions in terms of advertising. We have a pre-roll, which would play before the episode starts, a mid-roll, which would be somewhere wherever we decide in the middle of the podcast.
Pre-roll is always something I liked, but that's from another habit.
He's talking about a different kind of re-roll.
I don't smoke anything.
No.
I quit everything.
Yeah.
I figured it was better for people if I quit it.
I think everybody has fun, but you did change. You just changed over the years. Kind of thing, and even for our commercials, if we're doing commercials, if you guys need a radio announced voice, we'll even do that for you. So
you guys can send in if you want an ad read or if you have something specific that they already have recorded or whatever. But it could go in the beginning, the middle, or the end. 30 seconds to a minute.
So my newest company is CH Shotcrete. Shotcrete. I got to put a dig in here for that. chshotcrete.ca. And William Chen and I are basically wanting to take advantage of the Canadian patents that I have and get partnerships going with those. We're hoping to get green infrastructure partners interested in investing. And someone with a lot of drill rigs. I don't really want drill rigs. But Shotcrete, though, because one of my patent FE H2O lock is 2 layers of 5-inch shotcrete, and it'll never leak.
What's the
chem concrete? It'll never leak.
What's the hardest thing about running a shotcrete company?
Probably finding good men.
Yeah.
The idea of the guys that can actually do the QA. Like, in other words, I do one of my element of my patents is you get different claims. So I have a 2-to-1 feather edge. Fang feather edge, I call it. So you put a wood float on it, and then you don't double up any joint. And then using chem concrete, it'll never leak. I also put drain board behind it. I usually do a 15-inch drain board.
And this chem concrete has been around a while, or
no, I got the first order in North America on that slab in
Goderich?
Goderich, right by my house, actually.
Yeah. So that's the first time it's being used here in Canada.
I'm claiming that it's the first order. Basically, Boris is ordering the material. And he got bumped because there's worldwide demand now for it. Like, it's 95% waterproof. So it's going to change the game.
Well, you wouldn't have to put blue skin on it anymore, would you?
No, we're not doing any waterproofing.
So that's
2 layers of 5-inch.
Yeah.
Shot, wood float, feather edges.
Done.
Staggered. Right?
Done.
With a drain board behind it.
Wow. No cutting, no more covering up, like no more waterproofing it, no more nothing. You know how much time and money and everything that saves? Even it's dangerous to go for a guy to go down there to go mud it or to go waterproof stuff. He's got walls of dirt around him sometimes that are really high. And I know we're supposed to be safe and all that, but sometimes you don't have the room. Sometimes people don't. Sometimes you have shitty operators and it's not safe. So this will be a lot safer for guys. They don't have to go there anymore. They shoot it, they're done.
Yeah, well, after the 2 5-inch layers, which is just the shoring, I invented bypass shotcrete at HCM. So I put a tab on it, and then that stuff never leaked because the water went behind it anyway. Mm-hmm. But then people, we got to do the waterproofing, whatever. So, but after the 2 5-inch layers, then we shoot the structural wall. So there's a lot.
So it's already proofed before it even gets to the wall. And then the wall, are you shooting it with that same concrete again?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because to be honest, Chem Concrete is affordable.
Yeah.
Like they can produce that thing for, well, I don't know what Boris is going to sell it for.
So
I don't want to say what his price
Oh,
is,
I
but
understand.
by the same token, it's well worth it.
It's worth more than standard concrete, but you're saying it probably not that more expensive to make it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's just an admixture.
But because it's so amazing, and they save so much money on other things, they might price it accordingly to, because you're saving so much money, maybe it will be a little more than normal concrete.
They've got
It's a better product.
the 2 guys that are managing this in North America, they're gonna make a markup for sure.
Yeah.
But then what I've said to them is just give me a percentage, like maybe 15%, and I'll get it specified over Toronto.
Correct.
Because the guy's up in Sudbury, right?
Yeah, because you're an engineer,
Yeah.
right? Like you, for schooling for that, where did you go and how did that, what made you become an engineer?
Well, I suppose that's a good question. I went to Western. I was always good at math. So I got into engineering.
Yeah.
And, but and I got an MBA after that at York part-time.
I like watching the NBA.
I've been, I've never failed in terms of startups. I've done 8 startups.
Yeah.
So this would be 9, I guess.
Wow.
Shotcrete. Wow. And now with my patents, I'm exclusive. So I made CH Shotcrete exclusive to my patents in Canada. If somebody wants to deal with them, call William.
Yeah.
And we'll give you access. But most of the time, you try to save money for owners.
Yeah.
Right? You want the owner to save the money.
100%.
And it's a great opportunity to have a platform like this to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that will change 100%. That's going to change so many things. Like the water is in Canada, especially because we have the winters. So the thawing and the freezing and all that, it breaks concrete, smashes it up. You see the sidewalks all lifting. You see people's driveways cracking. It's because of the weather. And
well, MST rebar is being spec'd on the MTO bridges.
yeah.
But even Cox, you take it to Cox.
Oh, 100%.
Tell them you could do a value engineering proposal. These guys all do that, which
Yeah.
means they can propose something.
Yeah.
And love to. I know Cox a little bit.
Yeah.
We used to work for them a bit, but for the most part, they're reputable, and they're gonna hear about Chem Concrete.
Yeah, 100%. And
Crystalline is, by the way, crystalline would cost you maybe $75 a cubic meter, and it's 33% waterproofing. And Chem Concrete will be half that price.
wow, and it's 95%.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a game changer.
And then do you take that and add it to normal concrete, or it's just by itself and that becomes the concrete?
You can take any concrete and you can basically save cement.
Yeah.
Because it's nanotechnology in the 5 hybrid they came up with. You can save the quantity of cement. So
When you say nano,
nano is I think 1 nano is 1/1000th width of a hair.
so it's just something really small. It's a really small
Yeah,
particle.
You can't see it. Like it's basically. So however they do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not an expert at nano, but
Yeah.
it's nano. Crystalline
Yeah.
has a certain value, but it's going to take the whole market. This Chem Concrete thing.
because it's so much better.
Boris has a home run for.
So whoever's
you
using
can play our podcast at any time.
yeah, right. Yeah. So whoever's using that other product right now, once this comes,
well, Crichton and Zypex
Yeah.
are both Vancouver-based companies.
Yeah.
Worldwide, they're $1 billion a piece sales.
wow,
So the guys in Chem Concrete, they know what they got.
yeah, they got a better product that's less to make,
And it's
superior.
it beads water.
Yeah.
Like you can't get crystalline to bead water. You know, if you pour concrete anywhere, it absorbs water.
Yeah, and
that's what kills it.
That's the problem, because the water gets into it and then it freezes and expands and boom, it cracks.
Right.
Especially if you have steel rebar, and then the steel rebar gets the water, it rusts, boom, cracks and again, right?
Yeah, span and contracts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good opportunity to talk about a few things. How are we doing for time, Donnie?
50 minutes.
I think that's perfect.
What do you want
to?
to? Let's wrap her up.
Let's wrap her up.
What do you want to say for the
Well,
end here?
I'd just like to thank Brian for being my first guest, and he's going to do a bunch of co-hosting, and Dante for being the professional that he is.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks for mentioning the formats for advertising, because I really think we have something that can lower contractors' cost. I mean, 100%. My experience is that you can make the cost less, the owners benefit, and the planet benefits.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I have a bunch of trademarks. I have a trademark called Earth Honoring Systems. Mind you, some of the trademarks, you lose track of them after a while and you don't necessarily renew them. The lawyers have a good game going on patents.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part,
so hold on a second.
Trust me because I've got an integrated system.
Yeah. So the patents run out after a certain time? Like if you
typically 20 years.
So you got 20. So you write a patent. You got 20 years. No one else can copy it. But after that 20 years, someone could just look at it and.
Yeah. So most of my patents are already at 15.
Yeah.
Because it takes a while to get them going.
Yeah.
But how long am I going to live? How much money do I need? Right? I need a bit more money.
Well, it should be.
I don't need a lot of money.
Well, and that's that's what I mean. It's one of those things that doesn't keep renewing, because then I guess it would become old knowledge for everybody, right? You got 20 years to. This is your idea, but you got 20 years to capitalize on it, and then we're opening it up to everybody else. Basically, is that kind of what a patent is?
Yeah, basically after that time it becomes free game.
Free for everybody. Yeah, after 20 years, if you haven't heard about it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Cool. So in the States, I hope to sell my U.S. patents in Texas, because Texas is very interesting. It's all clay, which is the perfect soil for my geothermal, and it's hot as heck there, right? So it would be really good to have the FEGO wind get some traction there.
Well, like you said, I seen the unit at your house, and you said that it got iced over. It was so cold that it iced over. So that'll be awesome in Texas.
Yeah, we're going to have to build I'm going to put a system in where I can heat the building around the geothermal.
Yeah.
But that's just test site one.
So
and it's interesting.
Couldn't just everybody be kind of off grid with that kind of technology that you have?
You know, you've got basically, I go with the water furnace because it's clean.
Yeah.
Which is just why use glycol. You have spilled glycol. It's contaminant.
So instead of the glycol, you're replacing it with water, and then you're using even water that's in the ground.
Yeah, basically my water's flowing because I overflow it in order to get the evaporative cooling in the summer from the gravel.
Yeah.
It's 850 BTUs per pound of water. So, and I have the only geothermal in the world that won't freeze the ground.
Wow. Yeah.
So most of the time it's a big thing about freezing the ground. The return on energy of a glycol geothermal in Toronto is 2.5. And I've got a system now that's 7.5. So coefficient of performance is the energy to run that comes out for the energy in. So rather than 2.5, I get 7.5. And that'll prove out in hard climates like Texas.
Awesome.
So anyway, once again, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
And if you can tune in to the next podcast, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've learned a lot of stuff. Dante, you learned some stuff today or what?
Oh, I learned a lot.
Thanks a lot, Dante.
No problem.
All right.
Oh, I love these kind of podcasts.
This is good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Break baby. I need to know.